The city hit him first. Not the people, not the noise, but the city itself. It was a beast of steel and glass, breathing steam from its grates. Chidi Okoye stepped off the bus at Port Authority, a single suitcase in his hand and a universe of ambition in his eyes. New York, the name alone felt like a promise, a challenge whispered on the wind. He looked up at the skyscrapers, these monoliths that scraped the heavens, and felt a profound sense of arrival. This was where destinies were forged, where a young man from a small town could rewrite his entire story. He was ready to work, to bleed for it, if he had to. He carried the hopes of his family on his shoulders, a weight that felt less like a burden and more like fuel for the fire burning inside him. His first apartment was a shoebox in Queens, but it was his kingdom. From his small window he could see the distant glow of Manhattan, a constant reminder of his goal. He spent his days devouring books on finance, economics, and market trends. He learned the city's rhythm, the frantic pulse of the subway during rush hour, the quiet hum of the streets late at night. Every yellow cab that sped past was a vessel of someone's urgent purpose. Every siren was a piece of the city's ongoing drama. Chidi didn't just want to live in New York. He wanted to become a part of its very fabric, to understand its language and make its unforgiving streets his own. He was a student of its energy, preparing for his final exam on Wall Street. Finally, the day came. He walked into the lobby of Sterling and Finch, his suit perfectly pressed, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. The air was different here. It smelled of money, power, and an almost predatory level of confidence. He saw men and women moving with sharp, calculated precision, their voices a low murmur of deals and figures. This was the arena he had dreamed of, the place where fortunes were made and lost in the blink of an eye. He knew he didn't have the connections or the elite background of the others, but he had something more powerful, a relentless, unyielding hunger to succeed. He was ready to prove that his mind was just as sharp, his will just as strong. He started at the bottom, fetching coffee and running documents, but he watched everything. He learned how the traders spoke, how they walked, how they carried themselves with an air of invincibility. Chidi worked harder than anyone. He was the first to arrive and the last to leave, his desk lamp a solitary beacon in the vast, empty office long after everyone else had gone home. He absorbed information like a sponge, memorizing market patterns, studying company reports, and anticipating the needs of his superiors before they even voiced them. His diligence did not go unnoticed. He was climbing, slowly but surely, earning his place in the fast-paced, high-stakes world he had once only observed from afar. He was becoming one of them.
Victor Lennox was a titan of Wall Street, a man who commanded respect and fear in equal measure. He saw the fire in Chidi and took the young man under his wing.
Chidi was ecstatic. To be mentored by Victor was a dream come true. He felt like he had finally made it, that his hard work had paid off. Victor gave him more responsibility, bigger projects, and access to the inner circle. Chidi learned about complex financial instruments, offshore accounts, and the hidden pathways where money flowed like a secret river beneath the city. He trusted Victor completely, viewing him as a guide and a benefactor. He never questioned the complex transactions or the discreet ledgers he was asked to manage. The trap was sprung on a Tuesday. It was a normal day, filled with the usual chaos of the trading floor. Chidi was at his desk, deep in a report, when two figures in dark suits approached him. They were from the FBI. They spoke his name with a cold finality that sent a chill down his spine. They asked him about transactions, about accounts he had managed under Victor's direct orders. Chidi answered honestly, confused but not yet scared. He believed it was all a misunderstanding, a simple error that could be cleared up. He had done nothing wrong. He was just following instructions, doing the job he was so proud of. The agents listened, their faces unreadable masks of professional indifference. Then they produced a ledger. His ledger. It was filled with entries he had made, but the context was twisted. The numbers now pointed to a massive fraud scheme, a web of illegal transfers designed to siphon millions. Victor's name was nowhere to be found. Instead, digital signatures and access logs pointed directly, irrefutably, to Chidi. His boss had used him, making him the architect of a crime he didn't even know was happening. The agents placed him in handcuffs. The cold metal on his wrists felt like a brand, marking him as a criminal. The entire office watched in silence as he was led away, their stares a mixture of pity, suspicion, and morbid curiosity. the world collapsed. In the sterile interrogation room, the weight of the betrayal crushed him. Victor, the man he had admired, had set him up. Chidi was the perfect scapegoat, young, ambitious, and without the powerful family connections that could protect him. He was alone, a pawn sacrificed to save the king. The federal agents saw only the evidence, a digital trail that painted him as a master criminal. His explanations were dismissed as lies, his pleas of innocence as the desperate cries of a man caught in his own scheme. The hope that had carried him to New York was gone, replaced by a cold, hollowing despair. He was trapped in a gilded cage, and the key had just been thrown away. Released on bail but with his life in ruins, Chidi found himself adrift. His name was Poison on Wall Street, and his so-called friends had vanished. He ended up in the Bronx, a world away from the polished corridors of power. It was here, in a local community center, that he met them.
First was Maya, a brilliant hacker with a deep distrust for corporations, her fingers capable of dancing through firewalls like a ghost.
Then came Rico, a former getaway driver with encyclopedic knowledge of the city's streets and a calm demeanor that hid a razor-sharp mind.
Finally, there was Lena, a master of disguise and social engineering, able to charm her way into any building and past any guard.
They were outcasts, just like him. They listened to his story, not with suspicion, but with a knowing empathy. Each of them had been wronged by the system in their own way. Maya had been blacklisted for exposing a tech company's privacy violations. Rico had taken the fall for a job to protect his family. Lena had seen the corrupt inner workings of the city's elite firsthand. In Chidi's plight, they saw a reflection of their own battles. They understood his rage, his feeling of powerlessness against a giant like Victor Lennox. A bond formed between them, forged in shared injustice. They weren't just a group of people with useful skills. They were becoming a team, a makeshift family united by a common purpose, to fight back. The plan was audacious, born from desperation and a thirst for justice. They couldn't fight Victor in court. He owned the system. They had to beat him at his own game. Their goal was not to steal money for themselves, but to find the original untampered ledger, the one that would prove Victor's guilt and Chidi's innocence. Maya discovered it was stored on a secure, air-gapped server in a private vault beneath a bank Victor secretly controlled. Getting to it would be a heist, a high-stakes operation that required all their skills. Rico would handle the entry and exit, Lena the social infiltration, and Maya the digital security. Chidi, with his inside knowledge of Victor's methods, was the key to it all. The challenges were immense. The bank had state-of-the-art security, pressure plates, thermal sensors, and a vault designed to be impenetrable. They spent weeks planning, holed up in Rico's garage, surrounded by blueprints and schematics. They ran simulations, argued over details, and pushed each other to be perfect. The risk was enormous. If they were caught, they would all face long prison sentences. But the alternative, letting Victor get away with it, was unthinkable. For Chidi, this was his only chance to reclaim his life. For the others, it was a chance to strike a blow against the very people who had cast them aside. They were ready to put everything on the line. The night of the heist was tense. The city hummed with its usual energy, oblivious to the drama unfolding beneath its streets. Everything started perfectly. Lena, disguised as a maintenance worker, disabled the initial security checkpoints. Rico navigated the service tunnels with practiced ease, getting them to the vault's antechamber. Maya, working remotely, bypassed the first layers of digital defense. Chidi guided them, his memory of Victor's paranoid security protocols proving invaluable. They were a well-oiled machine moving with silent precision. They reached the vault door, the final obstacle between them and the truth. The air was thick with anticipation. They were so close, but Victor was paranoid for a reason. As Maya worked to crack the vault's final lock, a silent alarm, one not on any blueprint, was triggered. It was a failsafe, an old-school tripwire connected directly to a private security firm and the NYPD. Suddenly, the building was on lockdown. Red lights flashed, and the distant wail of sirens grew closer, a mournful sound that signaled their failure. The escape route was cut off. They were trapped. Panic began to set in, the careful plan unraveling into chaos. The heist had gone wrong, and they were caught in the heart of the machine they had tried to dismantle. There was no way out. The police surrounded the bank, their cars forming a barricade of flashing red and blue lights. A standoff began. Rico and Lena prepared for a confrontation, their faces grim.
But Chidi stopped them.
He knew more violence wouldn't solve anything. It would only prove Victor's narrative that he was a common criminal. He walked to the entrance of the bank, his hands raised in surrender. He faced the line of armed officers, his friends watching from the shadows behind him. He was no longer the scared young man from the interrogation room. He was a man who had nothing left to lose and was determined to make his stand. "My name is Chidi Okoye," he shouted, his voice clear and steady, amplified by the tense silence. "We didn't come here for money, we came for this." He held up the hard drive Maya had managed to grab just before the lockdown, the ledger. "Victor Lennox is the real criminal. He framed me, and the proof is on here. We did this to find justice, not to get rich." His confession hung in the air, a raw and honest declaration. It changed everything. It wasn't the end of a heist, it was the beginning of a real investigation. Chidi's courage in that moment, choosing truth over freedom, set in motion a chain of events that would ultimately expose Victor and force everyone, from the police to the public, to look at the difference between a crime and a fight for justice.